There is something that cuts deeper than silence, deeper than ignoring her texts, deeper than disappearing for weeks. And most men will never discover it because they're too busy playing games that emotionally intelligent women figured out years ago. You think going quiet is power. You think making her wonder is strength. Sometimes it is. But there is a force far more unsettling than your absence. And once you understand it, you'll never rely on silence again. If this kind of truth resonates with you, take a second and subscribe. Not to follow a channel, but to invest in the man you're building every single day. When a relationship gets tense, most men do one of two things. They chase or they vanish. No contact has become the go-to advice online. Pull back, go dark, make her feel your absence. And look, sometimes it works, temporarily. But here's the brutal truth most men overlook. Silence is still a reaction. When you go quiet to provoke a response, your energy is still locked onto her. You're still refreshing your phone, still rehearsing what you'll say when she reaches out, still measuring time like it's a strategy. Emotionally perceptive women feel that. They don't have to see it. They sense it because silence driven by strategy carries tension. And tension reveals that you're still waiting, still hoping, still emotionally unresolved. What truly unsettles a woman isn't your distance. It's your calm, not coldness, not cruelty, not punishing silence. Calm. A man who has stopped trying to win, stopped trying to prove himself, stopped negotiating his own worth inside his head. That shift, that quiet internal release, is felt. Think about the difference in energy. When you withdraw in anger, it feels sharp. When you withdraw in strategy, it feels tense. When you withdraw in genuine peace, it feels final. And finality unsettles the nervous system far more than absence ever could. Because silence says, I'm waiting. But calm detachment says, I've accepted. Those are two completely different frequencies, and she can feel both. Here's where most men get it wrong. They use silence like a bargaining chip. I'll pull away until she realizes what she's losing. But the moment she senses that transaction, the dynamic becomes a power struggle. And power struggles don't build attraction. They exhaust it. When you genuinely release the need to be chosen, when you stop rehearsing conversations that haven't happened, when you stop monitoring whether she's viewed your story, you become something different entirely. You become emotionally unavailable, not in a defensive way, in a grounded way. And grounded men linger in a woman's mind long after distance fades, not because they disappeared, because they arrived fully inside themselves. Quick pause. If this is shifting something in how you see yourself in relationships, subscribe and hit the bell. We go deep on these truths every week. Now let's keep going. Here's something most men were never taught. Women don't just respond to what you do. They respond to the energy behind what you do. The same action, going quiet, can feel powerful or desperate, depending entirely on what's driving it underneath. When you initiate no contact as a tactic, your nervous system is still activated. You're tracking, measuring, wondering. And even if you say nothing, that internal tension surfaces eventually. In your tone when you finally speak, in the timing of your message, in the look in your eyes when you see her. But when you reach genuine emotional neutrality, you're not ignoring her. You're not avoiding her. You're not trying to trigger anything. You've simply stopped orbiting her emotionally. And that is rare. Most people stay psychologically entangled long after communication ends. They replay memories, build imaginary arguments, check her profile at 1 a.m. Real detachment isn't blocking her number. Real detachment is no longer needing to prove your worth in her story. There's a psychological truth that few people discuss. Humans are more disturbed by loss of emotional access than by physical distance. You can be miles away and still emotionally reachable. But when someone becomes centered within themselves, when they stop reacting to every shift in connection, it feels like a door closing. Not slammed, not locked, quietly shut. And that quiet closure echoes louder than any dramatic exit. This is what real Stoicism looks like. Not suppression, but integration. Your emotions and your principles are aligned. You may still feel it. You may still care. But you are no longer bargaining with yourself to keep her. You're not thinking, if I say this, maybe she'll stay. You're thinking, if she stays, it must be because she chooses to. That shift alone changes your posture. Your voice softens. Your responses shorten. Your timing becomes natural, not calculated. You stop performing strength. And that's when you actually become strong. Here's what happens when she encounters this version of you. She doesn't just feel your absence. She starts asking herself different questions. Why doesn't he react the same anymore? Why does he seem settled? Did I misjudge him? Notice what you didn't do. You didn't lecture her. You didn't announce your withdrawal. You didn't post anything for her to see. You simply re-entered yourself. And when a man re-enters himself, he stops competing for validation. That internal shift creates external consequences because when you no longer chase reassurance, you force the dynamic to reveal itself honestly, not through games, through gravity. If you're still watching this, you're not here for quick tricks. You're here for real growth. Subscribe if you haven't already. This channel is built for men who are done settling for less than they're capable of. This is not about playing hard to get. This is about becoming hard to shake. When your emotional state is no longer dependent on her reassurance, you radiate stability. And stability is attractive, not because it's mysterious, but because it feels safe and strong at the same time. Most men believe attraction is about intensity. But long-term attraction is about emotional regulation. A man who can feel deeply yet remain grounded communicates maturity without a single word. He doesn't crumble when challenged. He doesn't retaliate when disappointed. He doesn't beg when uncertain. He adjusts. And adjusting without resentment, that is quiet power. When she tests the boundary and you calmly hold it, she feels the shift. When she pulls away and you don't collapse, she feels the shift. When she reaches out and you respond warmly, but without urgency, she feels the shift. And the more she feels it, the more she must confront her own position because now she's not reacting to your emotions. She's reacting to her own. Some women will lean in when they sense this kind of maturity. Some will drift away because they can no longer control the dynamic. Both outcomes are clarity, and clarity is peace. Because this was never about hurting her more than silence could. It was about stopping the hurt you were doing to yourself by overextending, by over-explaining, by negotiating your own dignity. When you stop doing that, something settles inside you. Your breathing slows, your thoughts clear, your self-respect firms up quietly, without performance. You don't double text. You don't send paragraphs trying to fix tension. Not because you're suppressing the urge, but because the urge is no longer there. That is the difference between emotional suppression and emotional mastery. Silence makes someone curious. Peace makes them reflective. And reflection is far more powerful than absence will ever be. Because when she reflects, she doesn't just think about missing you. She reevaluates you. She replays your patience, your consistency, your calm in moments she was reactive. And that contrast between her uncertainty and your groundedness creates something that no amount of strategic silence ever could. Realization. Realization that access to you is not automatic, that your presence has weight, that you were never the one she needed to manage, you were the one she needed to keep. The most powerful response to emotional uncertainty is not silence, it is self-possession. A man who owns his emotions without being owned by them becomes unforgettable. Not because he hurt someone, but because he refused to abandon himself. And when you stop abandoning yourself, you never truly lose. You evolve. And evolution is far more compelling than absence will ever be. If this video gave you something real to think about, like it, share it with a man who needs to hear this, and subscribe if you haven't already. The next video goes even deeper. I'll see you there.